Well, this morning I am privileged to be joined by two of our nation's outstanding pro-life leaders. Their leadership on Capitol Hill has been so important. In fact, I cannot think of two individuals that are going to have more resting on their shoulders in the days ahead than Senator Steve Daines of Montana and Congressman Chris Smith of New Jersey, two great pro-life leaders. Senator Daines leads the pro-life caucus in the Senate, and Chris Smith leads the pro-life caucus in the House. And in these days in which we face what I think is going to be one of the most pro-abortion administrations, as we're already seeing some of these executive orders flow from the administration, we've got our work cut out for us ahead. Senator Daines, Congressman Smith, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Senator, let me just start with you. Are you surprised by what you see coming out of this administration thus far?
You know, I'm not. We anticipated that if Joe Biden was elected as president, if Pelosi had control of the House and Schumer in the Senate, it'd be a radical lurch in the pro-abortion direction. So I'm not surprised. I mean, the Democrats have unified control of the House, the Senate, the White House. The U.S. Senate, though, now remains a very critical firewall for the unborn and for all of our freedoms, for that matter. And we'll have a very important task ahead of us as President Biden moves forward with his choices of nominees for his cabinet to expose the radical pro-abortion views that they have. You know, starting with Xavier Becerra as well for HHS Secretary. But the fight is very real. I am so grateful for so many who are watching this today, who are standing with us, who are praying for us, praying with us, because though they've got control now, the margins are very, very narrow. I mean, we have the thinnest, Schumer has the thinnest majority in the Senate. It's a 50-50 Senate. And of course, then Vice President Harris breaks that tie. And so in the Senate, our challenge here is that we can get just 41 senators to sign up on pro-life stances, like on protecting Hyde. That makes it filibuster proof. So we don't need to have 51, we need 41. That's the magic number. That's how we can stop much of the radical agenda that they'll try to push through in the Senate.
I'm going to go to Congressman Smith. You mentioned the Hyde. I want to talk about that. But before I do, how confident are you that among the 50 Republicans there in the Senate, that they'll stick together on this fundamental issue of the sanctity of human life? And in connection with that, what can folks across America who care about this issue do?
Yeah, well, again, as long as we preserve the filibuster, and it looks like really thanks to Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, who have said that they will not blow up the filibuster in the Senate and turn this into another House, which is simple majority votes. And that would allow Biden to have his way on virtually anything. We have 50 Republican senators. I think we can probably get to 46, 47 in terms of senators who will stand with me and with us on Hyde protection and so forth. And that would be sufficient because 41 is the magic number in the Senate, assuming we can protect the filibuster.
Well, and we will certainly encourage pro-life Americans to stand with you and follow your leadership there in the Senate in this extremely critical time. Congressman Chris Smith, the senator mentioned Hyde. You actually served with Henry Hyde, for whom that amendment is named after. And it essentially this: it prohibits the government from forcing Americans to be in partnership with the abortion industry so that taxpayer dollars do not go to fund elective abortions. But the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi and her party, have made it very clear they want to eliminate Hyde. What are we going to do?
Well, this isn't the first time. We've been here before where the pro-abortion president, the abortion president in terms of Clinton and Obama, in their first 2 years had the House and the Senate. And we worked triple time to mitigate the danger that they tried to do in Clinton's time. We lost every single pro-life rider, including the one I did on the Federal Employees Health Benefits Program, a funding ban just like Hyde. But Miraculously, the Hyde Amendment was preserved because Henry had a great parliamentary maneuver that he pulled on the floor of the House that saved it. As Senator Daines pointed out, the idea that in the Senate, the filibuster can be used to thwart those efforts remains a tremendous option and a hope that we all have. All of the writers have saved lives, but Hyde itself, and Henry Hyde was the greatest leader imaginable. I'm in awe of the work that he did and how eloquent he was. But it has saved well over 2 million people, 60,000 people per year. Children are born who otherwise would have been killed by abortion simply because the money wasn't there to effectuate their demise. And we've got to tell that story over and over again. Hyde is a lifesaver. It saves people across the board, every ethnicity, and the other side is trying to turn this into, us against women. We are totally in favor of women. We love them both, as you know, Tony, mothers and their babies. And as Steve has done so tremendously well over on the Senate side, what a great leader. Steve, thank you for your leadership. As long as we stay united, so long as everybody in the grassroots doubles down as well, there's no reason for discouragement. Biden himself once said that we should not compel people like himself, as he once was for the Hyde Amendment, to be forced to pay for abortion. Now he has done a complete capitulation to the abortion movement. So we need to stand up to him and do it with compassion, but with absolute resolve to protect life.
Chris, the Democrats are kind of using their trump card, if you will, on this issue of Hyde, saying it is racist to protect these babies, when in fact Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry are targeting minority communities with their abortion clinics.
Excellent point, and they always have. I read three of Margaret Sanger's books, and Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, was a racist and a eugenicist, and she didn't even want to give maternal or prenatal health care, even though it was in its infancy then, in terms of how good it was, to poor women, because you would get more of those useless people. It's outrageous, in my opinion, that she would have had that thought. She called one in Pivot of Civilization, again, the founder of Planned Parenthood, just was totally against helping poor women with their pregnancies. We are totally in favor of helping women, loving them both, and it's just so wrong to somehow suggest this is racist. You can't do that. We want to save all children, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whatever ethnicity they are all absolutely precious and deserve to live.
Senator Daines, mention was made of the president's nominations that will be coming through, and with the Senate 50-50, as you pointed out, the vice president casting the deciding vote, and only 50 votes needed, 51 votes to get the president's nominees through the process. Most likely they're all going to go through, even radical ones like Xavier Becerra. But let me ask you this question. What can the Republicans in the Senate do to expose these extreme positions that many of these individuals like Becerra have?
Yeah. Well, thankfully, Tony, I serve on the U.S. Senate Finance Committee, who have jurisdiction over Becerra's nomination. And so we, as pro-lifers on the Finance Committee, will be able to ask very pointed questions to expose it. Because they want to hide a lot of his record, what he has done in California. And so we will take that opportunity to put that, to shine light on it as part of the hearing process for not only his nomination, but for some of the deputy secretaries. These are individuals who have radical views on so many issues that fly directly in the face of those who believe in faith and family. So that'll be something we'll do in the hearing process. I want to go back to Hyde for a moment, if I could, Tony. One thing I'm doing at the moment, and we could use the help of those who are watching, is I'm leading a letter to get at least 41 senators and hopefully more that would demonstrate that we have a united front against Democrats, against pro-abortionists, who will try to dismantle the Hyde Amendment and other long-standing pro-life protections. Recall, when President Trump was in office, I put together a letter that we delivered to the president and asking him to stand with us to veto any appropriation bills that would have any pro-abortion riders or would compromise any of the pro-life protections we fought for years. And that was a very effective way for us to put a marker down early, to let them know you don't want to try this fight, because if you do, you're going to lose it.
Yeah, that was extremely effective. In fact, I made reference to it many times through the course of the Trump administration. So how can people help you with that effort?
Yeah, well, Tony, what we'll do is we're circulating the letter. We'll get that going here and getting signatures. We will let you know and let those who care about life exactly which centers we need to put additional pressure on. Where if it's a senator from your home state or not from your home state, where we need phone calls and letters, emails sent in, putting pressure on them to get on this letter, because if we can put that marker down early, then we know we've got a filibuster-proof position here to protect Hyde and our other pro-life protections like Mexico City as an example.
Outstanding. Two final questions, and I'm going to ask both of you to respond to them. One relates to just kind of what you were talking about, Senator Daines, in terms of communicating to people. We're now in kind of a different era when it comes to communication. We've seen what big tech has been doing in terms of silencing conservative voices on fundamental issues. How are we going to communicate going forward as a movement, as those concerned about the sanctity of human life, religious freedom, all of these fundamental issues? What is the way forward in making sure Americans know what is happening? I'll start with you, Congressman Smith.
Well, I think what you're doing, Tony, and you've been a tremendous leader for life during your entire career, and I thank FRC for what you do, making people aware of what the needs are. Don't think that you shouldn't lobby a Democrat pro-abortion member. They know how to count, and if they're thinking that this could be injurious to their career and their re-elections, there are some who may say, let's not do this. We know that the Biden administration is going to reverse the Mexico City policy, the Protecting Life and Global Health Assistance, which is a tremendous policy that says we don't give money to those organizations that promote and perform abortion as a method of family planning. Planned Parenthood and others have been cut off because of it, and now this president is looking to give them really a blank check. The NGOs are looking to triple the amount of money for population control. We have an issue of conscience, and it's a great question for the designee, Javier Becerra, and that is that conscience was not enforced for 8 years. The law, the Weldon Amendment, is there intact, and the HHS bureaucracy and the Division of Civil Rights Enforcement would not enforce conscience protections for doctors, LPNs, entities, healthcare entities who are being coerced into facilitating and performing abortions. Conscience is absolutely essential, and yet my belief is that there will be a deja vu now on that, where they say, keep Weldon, we just won't enforce it, even though they will try to get rid of it as well. So that's a very, very serious problem, and the big funding issues. But people have to have hope, through prayer, fasting, and very hard work. Let's think in terms of 2-year increments. Just like the previous abortion presidents, Clinton and Obama, after those first 2 years of having it all, a monopoly of power, they lost that monopoly. Right. And we were able to put back the riders one by one by one by one.
Absolutely. Senator Daines, I know we're running short on time, and you've got to go, and I want to give you the final word if you want to speak to that issue of communication, and also leave our folks with top priority of what they need to be praying about and focusing on going forward.
Yeah. Well, Tony, I think it makes it crystal clear how important organizations are like FRC and your leadership. We need this help even more than ever before on the Hill. So thank you as it relates to communicating, to mobilizing, and to keep up the fight. And so you will be helping the folks here that follow your leadership at FRC. That's going to be just invaluable for us who are up here in this day-to-day battle. So thank you. And that becomes even more important now with what's going on with oligarchs in Silicon Valley who are muting conservative voices. But I'll tell you what, I have great hope and optimism. I mean, Montana's elected a Republican governor, by the way. They're moving forward pro-life legislation. The first time in 16 years, we're going to have a pain-capable bill, a baby-born alive bill, signed by our governor. And so there's reason to be hopeful. And you look at past elections in 2010 and 14 and 10, when Obama was his midterm, it was a sweeping election. And we took back the House. In 14, it was a sweeping election. We took back the Senate. So when the far left takes control of this country, I'll tell you what, those of us who believe in faith and family, we rise to the occasion, and I'm optimistic about 22 in the future. We just got to hold tight here now for a couple years and fight these pro-abortionists.
Yeah, extremely good point, because we've also seen tremendous gains in the states over the last decade. Montana's not alone with pro-life majorities. Senator
Tony,
Steve
can I just add
Daines.
something really quick?
Yes, go right ahead, Chris.
Very quick. We have to stay unified. You know, let's not forget that Bill Clinton won his presidency with 43% of the vote. If it wasn't for Perot's challenge, he got 19%. We would have not have had a president, Bill Clinton. We need to stay unified. I know some people, you know, there's some fissures out there, and hopefully they're not as deep as the media would like it to be. But we need to stay unified.
Yes.
The Republican Party, with all of our flaws, and we certainly have them, is the place where life is being defended, and it's being defended very aggressively. So please, I admonish, ask our grassroots, stay unified.
Absolutely. Chris Smith, Steve Daines, thanks so much for joining us. And again, thank you for your leadership on Capitol Hill, and the influence you have across the nation is so appreciated. Thanks so much.